Welcome to VBar 101. I'm Frederick Mellin, aka Mr. Mel. Today I'm gonna go over step by step how to do the governor setup with a either when you have two channels available, meaning you have a Spektrum Satellite or SBus receiver. Now I'm gonna go over the concept of the two-channel mode. I have done here a graphical representation of the two channels. You have the preset channel and the throttle channel. This is to show you in a more detailed way what actually happens in the background. The preset channel is a control channel. Half of the travel from -100 to 0 is just one big area which does one thing, and that's making sure governor is off and the curves are active. The throttle curves are active. So when you move your stick, it direct output this to the throttle servo. As soon as we go over 50%, it turns the governor on. It's now governed head speed. And the head speed is determined on where you are at this range of the signal. If you are at 100%, then your head speed is what you have typed into the max head speed setting in the VBar program. Now, when we are up here with the governor on, the throttle curves are just for failsafe, meaning if the sensor fails, then it falls back to the curves in the background. But as soon as I back down to governor off, it could be 2%, -2% or -100, it doesn't matter. The curves are now active again, meaning my throttle stick controls the servo directly. So this is the concept of the two-channel control mode, and if you understand this concept, it will be much easier to set up the governor to work exactly as you want it. One thing that throws people a little bit off base is the definition in VBar of a signal and its level, because in the VBar it says from -100, then center is 0, then you have +100. It might be that it translates in your radio to 0, 50 and 100. It's the same thing, it's just different definitions of the signal. Some radios actually have from -100 to +100, but when you activate a certain function it might be 0, 50, 100. So you need to keep track of this, and if I'm at 0 and saying you need to go lower, that number might be -100. If I say -50 and you need to raise that number, I probably should say go closer to -100 or to make it easier. But keep in mind that this type of definition and this type of conversion that actually happens, so you know where you're at. So in your 0 to 50 curve might be in the program same as -100 to 0. First of all, what I have done here is under receiver, the rest of the setup I anticipate that you already had done correctly, so I'm just gonna go over the governor part of it. What I've done is I've set aux2 to channel number 5 on this JR setup, and throttle is channel 1. Then I set this to channel 7. It doesn't matter, I'm not going to use it, it's for bank switching, but the important thing here is I'm using channel 5 for the governor control. So then I have gone into the system setting on this radio, and under device selection I have set my gear channel, which is channel 5, to governor. That's it. So let's see here. Everything is upside down here. So then I have the governor menu here in the screen there. Next thing I'm gonna do is make sure I have everything calibrated on the transmitter calibration screen. So I do all the regular stuff and make sure I got everything correctly, endpoints and subtrim if needed. Then we jump over to Governor 1 and I select Nitro and press reset. So throttle input, that's my channel 1. As I said in the receiver screen, that's my throttle channel. But on preset channel, I want my channel 5. Now we see here it's 0 because the governor function in this radio reads 0. So now I have to just check that I get correct values here. It's scrolling down, you can see I'm lowering it to 100 in the radio, and that reads 96 in my screen here, so I need to adjust ATV on that one as well. So actually on this one I cannot adjust that, so I have to just put in to know that 104 is my minus 100 in the radio or in the program. Then I select my output socket for the servo, and here I have a setup, illustrate my servo going into servo socket, and it's my throttle actually. So we have closed and we have full throttle. So that is okay. Then we go to Governor 2 page. Then I need to make sure I have a 0 to 100 pitch curve, not throttle, not preset, pitch curve. And when I do that and press on here, I'm transferring control to the, so I control the servo via the pitch. Now I can set the endpoints so it matches, and then I go up and I set the endpoints for that as well. There we go. Then I can press off. Now I need to enter the maximum head speed that I'm gonna run on this helicopter. So if I enter 2200, that's a maximum, nothing more than that. Then I should enter gear ratio, and let's just say it's 10 on this helicopter. Now, when I'm in normal mode, as you can see, actually my throttle curve is controlling there is no governor involved at all. That's the thing. When the preset is below 0, it's in stick control, meaning the throttle curve will control this. So if I jump over to my normal curve, throttle curve, enter, and as you can see here, when I move my throttle trim, the servo moves, so it's controlling. I can use this, set my idle there and throttle cut there and everything, and hold actually goes over and lower the throttle. So in this mode, when I'm in normal mode, the stick is totally controlling. You can do S-curve and whatever you need to. But if we go back to governor control screen, then for idle up here, oops, we go to plus side, and then we go up high, let's see here, 90%. What happens when I flip to idle up here is that governor is now active. You can see in the program here the requested head speed is 1906, and if I change this, you can see this changing as well. So now I can, by the governor control, totally control how the governor requested head speed for idle up 1 and idle up 2, if I need that as well. Let's do. And now the maximum head speed come into play, because if I go 100% here, or actually 104 because we had endpoints adjusted, it's going to give me around 2200, which was what I set for the maximum head speed. So now I'm gonna show you a picture here, and we're gonna talk about which the different curves I have or going to program in the radio. It's easier to show on this screen. First of all, my hold is, well, 0% or 3% or whatever my hold is, but low. Then I have a normal curve that can be shaped as you want it to be. It can be a S curve, it could be the full range totally like you want it, and the need for your helicopter depending how it's set up. Then my idle up 1 and 2 is just a V-shaped curve, and that's the fail-safe curves for in case of sensor failure. And as I showed you in the beginning, when you are in a govern mode, the curves does not affect the head speed otherwise, but it will fall back to this one when you have a sensor, if you have a sensor failure. So it's important to set those up as well. So these are the curves I'm going to program into radio, and I'm going to show you how that affects things for the servo part of the site. So let's see how this ties together. If we look at my hold mode here, I have -100 on the preset, meaning curves are active. My curve or throttle output for hold is 0%, meaning the servo goes to closed position or close to it. Now, it doesn't matter if it says -100 or -50 or even 0, as long as it's at 0 or below, throttle curves are active. If I flip out of hold and go into my normal curve, which I have programmed here, like in the picture, you see my preset channel is still -100, and that means my stick is totally active here. It's only the stick, nothing with governor at all. Now I have programmed my governor, so if I flip to idle up 1, then it's a different story. What happens? Yes, the preset channel goes up to 87. That translates to a head speed here, and my curve in the radio is just for fail-safe purposes. It has nothing to do with how I control the servos, because now the governor is active. Well, I'm running this on a bench, I don't have any sensor, I don't have a motor running, meaning it's actually a fail-safe. So now it's the fail-safe, you see why the servo is moving here. But the purpose of this is you have this master switch where you switch between curves or between governor. And in the same time that master switch can utilize the underlying curve that still are there in case of a failsafe. I should add that if I click this bailout, auto rotation bailout mode, which I kind of voided on Nitrous, because you can run a higher ramp up speed anyway, because you start with a stick, you don't need it. But if you do, then this master switch, the preset channel is actually divided into one more piece, but I will cover that in a separate, because this is the basic, and you need to, when you get this perfectly, then you understand how everything works, and then you can start tweaking. One thing here, and that's the magnet. That is, we can test this by putting a magnet. You see it lights up, and then so basically you should turn your clutch or whatever, clutch bell or whatever, where the magnet is mounted, and make sure when it's in front of the sensor, the LED there should light up, so you know that the sensor is working. If you have trouble calculating the gear ratio, there is a calculator for you on the on the expert page, so you can get help with that one. It also supports 2-stage if you have that, so you get the correct ratio for your helicopter. So that finished the governor setup as far as configuration. Now we have access to this page where you have the basic setting and you have the expert setting.